my friends. Scott Bolan here. The program is the Conqueror Circle. You're all part of my Warrior's Edge membership. And I define a warrior. Often people think of a warrior as a cop or a soldier, and those certainly are warriors, but a warrior ultimately is one who fights for their own self-mastery. And I further define fight as harnessing and directing energy. So a warrior is one who harnesses and directs energy for his own self-mastery. Now, if I'm walking down the street and a thug comes at me with a knife, I'm going to harness and direct his energy to protect my own self-mastery, to master myself. And it goes everywhere in life, not just in physical combat, but in mental and spiritual warfare as well. That's why I call it total life mastery. Total life mastery, because we need to master all of life, which comes really down to 5 areas. Body, mind, and spirit, which is you. You are body, mind, and spirit, your relationships, and your finances. And there is nothing in your life which doesn't fall under one of those 5 areas. So I have a master of one of these arts here, a true master, because I only work with the best and people I know personally. And my friend, his name is Billy Alt, and he is a master of credit. Credit is important. Now, I don't care if you're rich or poor, and we have multimillionaires, and we have people working day jobs at Walmart. We have people from every walk of life in our membership, but they all have one thing in common. They are warrior-minded. They want to improve themselves. They want to harness and direct energy. They want to fight for their own self-mastery so that they can have peace and power and prosperity. Because without all 3, you have none. So Billy Alt is an absolute master in credit and is very important, so important. I met Billy through a mutual friend of ours, Marshall Silver, the world-famous speaker, the world's greatest hypnotist, Marshall Silver, who is an absolute gentleman, a family man, a business visionary, and a true patriot. And Billy and I met over at Marshall's Theater. We hit it off instantly. Billy is from Texas. I used to live in Texas. You can take me out of Texas, but you can't take Texas out of me. It's always in my heart. It's a part of pure Americana. So, Billy, thank you for joining us. Give me just a little bit about your background so people can get to know you.
Absolutely. First off, thank you for having me, Scott. I really appreciate it. And
thank you, brother.
To reiterate on what you just said, yeah, Marshall is a great guy, and it was really a pleasure and a blessing to get to meet you and your lovely wife. And I think we hit it off just because of the things that we have in common. Our thought process is the same. You know, we're leaders in our own fields and families and stuff. You have half a dozen kids, so do I. So, you know, we just had a lot of similarities. And brother, I just want to tell you, man, man, just your will for life, your will to fight, your will to go, your will to move forward. You know, it's just refreshing to me. And you're truly a no excuses guy. I learned that the first 5 minutes we spoke at Marshall's. You're not trying to make excuses of this, that, and the other. You're trying to find more avenues and other ways to help people and stuff like that.
You bet.
I thank you for your time. I know we've had a couple of these scheduled, and with COVID stuff and things going on, we've missed each other. But man, I'm fortunate to be here, and I'm super glad to be talking to you and your folks out there. So about me, my name again is Billy Alt, and I live in Dallas, Texas. I actually live in Rockwall, Texas. I started out my career in 1989, graduated high school, and I got in the manufactured housing industry, and I was in that business till '06, so for almost 20 years, which is where I learned credit, financing. The mobile home dealerships, that industry, Scott, it's a lot like the real estate industry, except you have to buy product, have your product on your sales center. We were, you know, I was the general manager of sales centers. I started out in sales, then I was a GM, then I moved out to East Texas and took over a lot in the region and stuff. But that industry was very, very different and very great learning curve for me, because unlike a realtor, we had to go buy product, buy inventory. Then once we had the inventory, we had to have a sales staff that we trained. And I was on a loop, 6-mile loop, when I had 36 dealers around me. So we had to learn sales. We had to be very good at sales. Because when they left our dealership, they weren't coming back. We had to order the product. We had to finance it. That was probably the biggest opportunity that I had and that I realized in that industry was the financing was everything. Not many people are buying their first home or an affordable home or an FHA $80,000 land home package with a 800 credit score. It just doesn't work like that. You know, so I had to learn very early in my career, finding clients and helping them and finding people who wanted affordable housing was not a problem. The convincing the banks to approve them was the problem. So I learned and was taught by the very, very best of my mentors and my leaders. I was with a great company for years and really, really learned financing and understood financing, and played that game for about 15 years. I was able to get, we were selling 50, 60 houses a month. And my claim to fame was I knew how to get people approved. I knew how to work a finance desk. So fast forward, I was with a company called Palm Harbor Homes for, I think, 17 years. And I quit, literally left, quit, $750,000 a year W-2 salary job, been there forever, quit. And I went and opened up my own dealership. And it was the scariest thing I ever done. And went and got my floor planning, opened a dealership, blah, blah, blah. And within about 12 months of 12 months of me doing that, our governor at the time, Governor Perry, changed the laws and the rules and the ways you can finance mobile homes in the state of Texas. He introduced House Bill 1869. Prior to 1869, when you bought a mobile home, you bought it like a car. You just got a title. They financed it for 20 years. The payment was $350 a month. Boom, you're good to go. What Perry did, he changed the laws and the rules where if you have a manufactured home that you're going to put on private property, you have to surrender the title, do an aerobic septic system now, not a conventional, do a retrofit foundation, or put the house on a foundation. And it just drove, cost-wise, it just drove those first-time buyers and stuff out of the market. We were competing with $200,000 brick houses at that point. So we had 32 lenders. And whenever they changed the laws, we went down to we went down to 2 lenders. One being Green Tree Financial, you had a 700 credit score, or cash, and not many folks had cash. So I had just opened my dealership. I had just put all my money I had made into that and cash flowed it myself, and boom, within 6 months, I shut it down. I was out of business because without lending, without financing, I mean, there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do. So I struggled with what I wanted to do. I was going to get in the car business. My father had been in the car business my entire life. And man, credit was my thing. Credit is my deal. I understand credit. I enjoy credit. I enjoy helping people turn their life around, turn that switch on, however you want to reference it. But I enjoyed taking people from a place that they thought they could never get to from where they're at now. And I actually turned that into a business. I started out buying and selling used houses, mobile homes, whenever I shut down my dealership, and everybody I ran into had bad credit. So the next thing I found myself working on their credit, fixing their credit. And this year, Scott, 15 years ago today is when I started the company. The first year I worked by myself on my pool table in my house. I sold, my wife would do our processing and stuff in the evenings while she worked a full-time job supporting our family. And we did that for, like I said, about a year. And she finally was able to quit her job and come on full time. And that's been 15 years ago. And we've got we've had an office forever, but to date, we've helped 20,000 people improve their credit repair. We've documented 20,000 clients. I personally sold and closed over 5,000 real estate transactions. I'm a FICO expert. I'm a consumer credit expert witness licensed to offer testimony in both state and federal court, as is my partner and wife. So once I decided to really go this route and get into the game, man, I wanted to learn everything about it and everything that I possibly could. The thing about credit, what I learned a long time ago, you may have heard me say this, when it comes to credit, Scott, you have to turn off that makes sense switch that's in your head, because it doesn't make sense. You would think if you pay your bills on time, you have a good credit score, and that's not at all the way it operates. It's not the way the algorithm works. So I've spent, the last 15 years doing strictly credit, but really the last 3 to 4 years, really, really perfecting my craft and really trying to get to the next level so I could go get on the stages to meet guys like you and talk to your audience and just really grow our word and help as many folks as we can.
That's awesome, brother. I got to jump right in there and say we have one other thing in common. You talked about your wife, helping you while she had the job. And even throughout my music business years, when I was on tour all the time, Belinda would be organizing the flights, hotels. She was command central. We'd be calling. And in this business now, she not only coaches women for empowerment and crypto, but she's also the back end on so many things. We are truly a team. It's yin and yang. So we have that in common as well. And there's nothing more than a solid, beautiful partnership. I think that is just nature's way. That's the way God intended. And what the two of us being together are stronger than being separate individuals. So we had that in common also.
Yeah.
And I do want to say something. You said right now, you said a lot of people think, well, if you just pay your bills on time, you'll have good credit. And that's not always the case. And when I heard you speak, I learned some things that I didn't know. I always think I'm pretty savvy, but I always remain a white belt. I've got several black belts, but I always keep that white belt in mind. What can I learn? So I always want to, well, Bruce Lee said this. Bruce Lee said, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. So I'm always trying to absorb what is useful and learn. I always keep that mind open. And I was just blown. I was taking notes when you were talking. I'm like, wow, I never knew that. So before we spoke today, I thought to myself, what do I think about credit? And in my mind, my opinion, my layman opinion, because you're a credit professional. I'm just a guy who knows hardly anything about it. But I remember thinking to myself, I kind of wrote down a few notes. I thought, well, there's people with bad credit. There's people with mediocre or so-so credit, okay credit. And then there's people with really good credit, 700 and above, 800. And then there's people who just don't care. And that was like me, because I was making so much money. If I want a new car, just go buy it. 40 grand, well, I'm just going to bank wire it. I'd be like, you can't run my credit. The only thing I might need credit for is a house, because that's a big one, right? But to me, I was ignorant of that because I was making so much money. I really didn't care. But you posted something, I think it may have been today. I saw it on your page today. You said that credit is like an adult GPA. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who remember, for those of us who are probably over the age of 30, when they used to actually give grades for how well you did in school, right? An A, B, C, D, or F. Well, a GPA is your grade point average. Like you might have a GPA, I think an A was a 4, right? If I remember right. A 3.9 would be real close. A 3.5 would be a B or an A minus. So an adult GPA, that's very important. A lot of people don't realize how important credit is. So I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're 18 or 80. Credit is important. It is a part of this world, and it is a part of total life mastery, because it is a tool that you can use. And what Billy talks about is how you can use it instead of it using you. They tend to prey on the young. You're 20 years old, you come out of college, and all of a sudden you get a credit card in the mail, and you're young and dumb, and you go, wee, and you start spending and going out and buying drinks and buying clothes, and not realizing that that's a tool, not a recreational device. And so I want to speak to people of any area to understand that you can all learn. When I do physical martial arts is only about 15% of what I do. 85% is mental warfare, empowerment, motivation, and how to win in life. But I use the martial arts as my foundation. And so I often say I'm Bruce Lee meets Marshall Silver. That when people ask, what do you do? So in the martial arts, you can always learn something. If you come to one of my seminars, I don't care if you're a white belt or you have 5 black belts or you're a champion MMA fighter, regardless, you're going to learn something. You're going to take something home. So I want people to take notes, because what Billy has to say is very important. And it was just light switches were coming on. So the importance of credit, the adult GPA, talk about that. Tell us about that.
That's really funny, because I did post about that this morning. And I think whenever I was speaking in Marshall's deal, the way I kind of opened up, I started talking about the adult GPA. And it's really funny to me that I made that post this morning with that picture. But, and I think I even said at the deal, and a lot of people can probably appreciate this, but my GPA in high school, I actually was graduated with 600 kids in my class, and I was the top 30 who to walk across the stage. But that's not because my GPA stopped. That's because my last name's Alt. You know what I'm saying? So the A got me up front. But as far as my adult GPA, I'm passing. I'm heavily passing, and you know, I learned a lot, and I was like you when I was younger. I used credit to maybe get that car or get this or get that, but for the most part, I didn't really use a whole lot of it because I didn't want to get overextended, and I didn't really understand years ago like the power of it, and I understand the power of it now. You know what I'm saying? I just ordered a $80,000 pickup truck, a new Duramax, and the only reason I did it, mine's paid for. It's been paid for, and it's 5 years old, and it's fine. But hell, my company needs write-off. I mean, why pay the government when I can give me a new truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're financing it solely in the name of the business, strictly in the name of the business. I own a home. I'm fixing to list it and sell it. I just bought some acreage, fixing to build a house on it. And for my personal credit score, it's only going to take so much. It's only going to allow so many loans. It's only going to, you know, income wise,
Right.
I can only budget for so much stuff or whatever. So business credit is a one of the best kept secrets that there is in addition to personal credit.
Yes.
So, and I've learned how to monetize, you know, my business credit score or monetize my my personal credit. I mean, like I said, I just bought a big chunk of land and wasn't able to pay cash for it. That wasn't an option, but why would you? I'm the kind of guy, I would rather keep my cash in the bank if I can pick up money at 1, 2, or 3%. And when you have a 750, 800 credit score, that's exactly what you can do. But in terms of your score being your GPA, I want to read some stuff off of the post that I made this morning, because if you really think about this, I mean, we'll have customers that come to us, just like you said. We may have a guy that has a 550 that needs to get to a 620 because he wants to buy a home. Mm-hmm. We may have a guy who's at a 620 but wants to get to a 680 or 700 because he wants to buy a bigger home with a lower interest rate. Mm-hmm. Then we may have a guy who's at a 720 who wants to get to an 800 because of pride, because of whatever reasons. I'll wrap your head around this. The average credit score in America, you will, because we've talked about this, but people won't believe it. The average credit score in America is an all-time high at 715. Wow. So if I'm a 714 or below, the banks aren't impressed. A 700 credit score is not what it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It's just not. The average credit score in America is 715. If you want to impress a banker, you need to have, be in that 730, 740 range. If you, the best,
you need to be above average. Yeah.
You need to be above average. That's absolutely right. Which again, with your folks, your audience and our connection, I mean, it's hard to live and be who you want to become by remaining what you are. It's hard to be the best version of yourself when you're walking around with 500 credit score. I've been there, done that. Seriously, I have.
That's right. Yeah.
It weighs on you. It's your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, your financial well-being. I mean, to me, the financial, it plays tricks in my head more than anything. That's my anxiety. That's my anxiety switch. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You talked about credit cards and college and stuff like that. And it's funny because I'm to the point in my career where when I hear that and I hear the excuses and I hear why, I shut it down because it doesn't matter. I mean, like, I get that college kids go out and do stuff, but let's face it, people know what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And until for folks that come to us with a 500 score with the excuses, it tells me they're just not ready. When they come to me and say, man, like, I knew what I was doing. I knew I wasn't going to pay that. I knew I charged that. I knew I was losing my job. I had no choice. It is what it is. Whenever you're ready to look yourself in the mirror and like change it, that's the only way it's going to happen. Whether it's in any aspect of life, that's just the way it is.
Amen, brother. And I often say that self-mastery is the first step. That's the only mastery there is. And that's taking full responsibility and then taking action. And the first thing is to take self-responsibility, to say, okay, I did this for whatever reason. Maybe I was stupid. Maybe I was on an ego trip. Maybe I was, flying blind, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. Now I am going to change it because only I can change it by taking action. So I own it. I take responsibility. It's not God's fault. It's not the government's fault. And even because the people who blame others and circumstances, that doesn't serve you. That gives your power away. So when you take back control, when you say, I'm going to take the wheel now, regardless, even if something did, say you were in business and your partner embezzled you and disappeared to Mexico and took everything and you were ripped off blind. Okay, that wasn't your fault. But now you are in control of your decisions and your future right now. As Marshall says, he says, so what? Now what? Yep. And that's the point of power. The point of power is in the point of making a decision. So when people decide to change that and make credit, knowing credit is a part of your financial life. It just exists, whether it's right or wrong. People say, well, that's not fair. You can actually understand that life isn't fair. Life exists, and we have to deal with reality as it is. We must first master self in order to master life. Once you master yourself, then you can master your circumstances.
Yep. Well said.
Yeah, and another thing about credit is leverage. So that's
the thing, Scott. People don't understand that. That's what they miss. And that was what my whole deal. That's what they missed. They missed the leverage part, because you can go out and I could skate through paying cash and do this and do that. But hell, me and you are 50 years old, right? We want an easier way. We're not like we were 20, 30 years ago. And here's what people don't understand. I didn't mean to cut you off, but here's what people don't understand is life's easier with good credit. Life's easier with 750 credit score. I guarantee you life's easier with the 800 credit score. And what people don't realize or wrap their mind around, here's a few things from that post. What a better credit score will afford you: increased credit card limits, the attractive mortgage and refinancing rates. There are people right now in this country that are refining houses that they bought for $200,000, that they're refining for $400,000, and their rate's 3% where it was 5%. Their payment's going up $1,200 a month, and they're getting $200,000 cash back that they're going and leveraging elsewhere, doing stuff. That's what's up.
That's right. That's leverage. Yes.
That it's fine.
Yeah. So even if you don't have $1 million in cash, but you can own and control $1 million through leverage of credit. And also, Billy mentioned business credit, which is a whole separate thing. A business, as far as I know, and I'm not a financial professional, but I have heard that having a business like an LLC or a corporation is a separate tax ID number. That's like a separate taxpayer and a separate credit score. So you can have a separate business and have business credit like you're doing with the truck. And I know that truck will be used for your business. I guarantee there's going to be a 700 credit decal on that. It's advertisement. It's totally legit and it's totally awesome. I love seeing that on car. I have hired dog groomers. I have hired maids because of decals on cars. Oh, heck, we need a dog groomer. Write that number down. Oh, heck, we need a maid. Write that number down. That's good advertising. And it's amazing. So you can have leverage in business and you can have leverage in your personal life so that you can control. It's not about how much money you have in the bank. It's how much money you can control and use as a tool. I call money a weapon. It's a tool like a fire extinguisher. That's a weapon, right? A weapon against a fire. A gun is a weapon for a good purpose. So please carry on, brother. I'm excited.
It's funny you say that, man, because it can also be a bad weapon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could also shoot yourself right in the foot with it, if not careful. You know. So,
right, and you hear of that how superstars like the different superstars, they're young and they get millions and they blow it because they go out and buy cars and $1,000 dresses and shoes and just blow it without being deliberate. And I always say, you'll either live by design or default. So live by design, get mastery, get the plan and get the information from Billy on not only how to build your credit, but how to manage it, and you'll flourish and prosper, and all that get understanding. When you understand it, most fortunes are lost by ignorance more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that leverage, brother, that leverage is power in this world.
And the other thing, you just think of the man, we're just in a different world. We are just in a different world today. Like even there's some Airbnb places that will want to run a credit check before they'll let you stay in a $2 million mansion. I mean, it's going on all the time. So it's just insane. but like lower rates on vehicles, obviously, easy vacation home rentals and reservations, easy car rental reservations, excellent credit card deals, lower interest rates, higher borrowing power, higher number of points for card usage, resulting in free or upgraded airline tickets, hotel rooms, dining out, and more. When I came to see y'all, I flew from Dallas to California, stayed in a really nice hotel, actually, on the beach right across from the ocean, and flew home and didn't pay for anything. I used my credit card points, my American Express points. When we pay our bills through our company. We use our credit cards as much as we can and pay them off at the end of the month so we can accumulate the points and plus float the cash for 30 days. I'm a big advocate of the cash if you can. But the points, man, don't miss that. We went skiing last year, airline tickets, rented a car. Hell, I still got 400,000 or 500,000 points left.
All free. You're flying free. You're traveling free. Yeah.
And that, again, that's, I mean, like that trip running out there could have cost me a couple grand, but why not let my old credit card points pay for it? My ski trip last year would have cost me a couple grand. Why not let my points pay for that? Otherwise, I'm cheap, man. I'm a tightwad. I probably wouldn't go on vacation like that. Seriously, I don't.
I hear you.
I'm not like that. So more negotiating power, lower interest rates on bank loans, credit cards, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna tell you, well, I live in a small town outside of Dallas, and my banker knows my credit score. When I walk into the bank, my banker knows my credit score. He knows, you know what I'm saying? So just even the leverage and the negotiating power and being able to walk into Kevin's office and saying, hey man, I need a land loan. What's up? What kind of rate can we get? There's no question about, well, we need to look at this. I mean, they know. So the leverage is what people just really don't even get. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at some storage facilities and some stuff like that. I'm not gonna pay cash for it, man. I'm gonna keep my cash in the bank. I'm gonna finance it and make the spread, make the difference. And that's what people don't get. Better employment. More and more companies are pulling credit than they ever have before. And they're not looking at a score. It's illegal to look at a score. But what they can do, they can look at bankruptcies, past collections, auto insurance. Why do you think auto insurance is higher? Because people with bankruptcies and collections and this and the maxed out accounts, they have more auto claims than people with an 800 credit score. It's just a fact. Insurance rates, houses tend to burn down. I mean, it's just the truth, man. Like if you look at the data, and so if you really stop and think about what all it impacts, it's mind-boggling.
Well, and when you add up everything you've mentioned, that saves a person thousands and thousands of dollars every month, every year, so much money that they don't realize they're wasting by not having good credit. The old adage, your mama probably told you a dollar saved is a dollar earned, or a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, it's true. And so people don't realize they're blowing thousands by not having good credit because of all of these benefits you were describing. And that leverage is also a powerful tool. For example, I remember having a seminar here in Vegas in 2007, 2008, and I stepped out of the hotel, and there's a foreclosure tour bus. You know, you can take a tour bus to go shoot in the desert. You can take a tour bus for casinos, strip clubs, every tourist attraction. But here at the time, it was the housing crisis. So back then, a home that's $1 million now was maybe 150 grand. Now imagine back then, if you had killer credit, excellent credit. Most people, they lost their homes, they lost their credit, but you were smart and you were living by design and working your credit, and you had excellent credit. You could have had an opportunity to buy 4 or 5 houses for 150 grand each that are now worth $1 million each. I know a guy.
And you know what's so crazy about that, and where I keep saying we're such a different day and age. My dad, probably your dad too, and like my grandparents, stuff like, they were not necessarily factory workers, but like when my father was growing up, like your goal was to like work somewhere 40 years, retire, and live in your $160,000 paid for house, and or you know what I'm saying? Seriously, like I remember my stepdad raised me. My real father worked for the railroad, and he retired from the railroad, paid off his house. He lived in for 30 years, whatever. And you know, we're just in a different day and age. People, we don't live like that any longer. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't working those kind of factory jobs, and they're not on a limited, small fixed income to where they can't do anything when those opportunities arise. But man, can you imagine? Yeah, if we would have bought even if we just went 5 years ago, we would have bought 5 or 6 of them to flip. I mean, I don't think
Right.
anybody saw this deal coming, but man, that's the point.
Well, yeah, crisis is what happens when preparedness meets opportunity, and preparedness is having good credit, because if you have good credit, you're prepared to act on opportunities that come up, that arise, that will arise all the time. There's opportunities everywhere, and if you have good credit, you can take advantage and leverage those opportunities.
And it's really easy, Scott, to manipulate the score. So we'll talk about some stuff, how we can raise the score. And it's really quite simple, but it really depends on, like, the first thing you have to understand is negative accounts on a credit report. They're called baddies. FICO refers to them as baddies. A baddie could be a 30-day slow pay. A baddie could be a collection account. A baddie could be a charge off. So the number one thing is remove the bad, and you would be shocked at how easy the dispute process is. You don't ever want to dispute online. You don't want to use form letters, because those types of disputes get kicked out. The optical character recognition scanners that read the letters will kick them out.
Right.
But you'd be surprised at the laws. There's 250 consumer laws that are on our side. Like one of them, a collection company, before they can report to you anything to a credit report, they have to validate the debt with you, showing what the debt is, what they paid for it, who they are, and all that stuff, right?
Proof of it, yeah.
They don't do it certified. So, one of our tactics is we'll go to the collection company and ask for validation. For 30 days, they can't talk about the customer. So then we go dispute with the bureaus, and they can't verify it. So it gets blocked that way and doesn't show up. So really, manipulating the score is not that hard. The biggest thing is remove any kind of bad. And bad kind of starts stacking up on top of each other. Inquiries aren't bad. Inquiries are bad when inquiries are in combination with a bunch of maxed out cards and 2 30-day slow pays. Why? Because before somebody files bankruptcy, what happens? They max out their credit cards. They have 30-day late. They try to get more credit, so they have 50 inquiries. So all of that combined is what creates the perfect storm. So that's why it's so important to have as few inquiries as you can. No collections, no baddies, no slow pays. If you do, call and ask for a goodwill removal. I mean, there's ways to get that stuff removed, but that's the number one thing. The easiest, quickest way to raise your score is to remove any negative items. The number two way, and almost just as effective, especially if somebody has no negative items, is to lower your balances. So a maxed out 100% full maxed out credit account, when it goes over, it's probably hurting your score. It's probably dropping your score. When it's maxed out, you're probably getting zero benefit, very little benefit. The perfect numbers are the goal. If you have open accounts, you want to get those accounts below 50%. So if you have a 10,000 cards, you want to work on getting it below 5,000. 50 is good. 30% is better. 30% of your balance on your credit cards is way better. 10% is even better. People with an 800 credit score carry a 1% balance. So the lower your balances are, the more points, the more gain, the more benefits you'll get from that account. You also want to have a nice variety of accounts. You want to have, for every 2 to 3 revolving credit cards, you want to have 1 installment type loan. So you want to have like 2 or 3 Visas, a car loan. And then you just start looking at your revolving. There's store types of accounts, a Home Depot card versus a Visa.
What does revolving account mean?
So a revolving account's a credit card, like a Victoria's Secret credit card, a Home Depot credit card, a Visa credit card, MasterCard, meaning I have $10,000 that I can use, and that balance is going to revolve all the time. It may go down to 6,000, it may go up to 8,000. As I pay it, it revolves up and down.
Okay, got it.
So a credit card. An installment account is like a fixed loan, like a terms of 120 months or 360 months.
Like a car or a house.
A house, a student loan, something like that. That's just
that doesn't change. Yeah,
doesn't change. Doesn't change. So what FICO doesn't want you to do, they know that installments are assets typically. An installment loan is typically an asset. A car, I get it, it's not really a true asset loan or whatever, but you're getting a titled asset or an object for your money, as opposed to a credit card. You're getting $5,000 worth of eating out receipts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those typically get maxed out and are the first ones to go. People are less likely to let a car go or something like that, because they're going to lose their asset. They're going to lose their right to work. So FICO loves to see a nice mixture, a nice, 2 to 3 ratio, 2 to 3 revolvings, 1 installment. Pay your balances down. That's the next thing that you want to do. If you have any negative accounts, make sure that you dispute them. Make sure that you send a handwritten letter. You can do it on a napkin. The revolving to installment, how important that is. The revolving to installment ratio is a very, very big aspect. FICO really puts a lot of importance on that. So, and while we're talking about the dispute process and baddies and stuff like that, so here's a couple things. The very best type of an account that you can have for score purposes on your credit report is a mortgage. So people who have, let's say 750, 800 scores, they have their attributes: 1 inquiry a year, a mortgage, 2 or 3 installments paid off, a 20 or 30 year open account. But a mortgage is the very, very best account that you can get. The worst account that you can have on a credit report, the worst thing you can have on a credit report is a delinquent account, meaning Scott or Billy is, I'm 30 days delinquent on my card. Now I'm 60 days delinquent. Now I'm 90. So it's almost like a hole in a boat.
Is that even worse than collection? Like if they?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. The worst type of an account that you can have is a public record, like a judgment, a tax lien, something like that. They're worse than a charge off, worse than a collection. A slow pay is bad. A collection's worse. A charge off is worse. Okay. But what it does to the score, a 30-day delinquent or a 60-day delinquent is worse for the score usually than a new collection or a charge off or something. But then once it gets, so if you're 30 or 60 days delinquent, your score is just going to just plummet because you're behind. Then you pay it and get it caught up. So now your current was 30. So that's not quite as bad as a collection, but it's still up there. But the very, very worst type of account you could have is a public record, tax lien, bankruptcy, something like that.
Okay, got interesting. And now you, well, when they use your 700 credit service, you can actually write the letters for them because you know what to say, how to say it, when to say it, why to say it. In other words, it's no different than people coming to me saying, hey, Scott, how can I master this particular area that you've achieved mastery in? I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years, so you know very well how to write these letters, how to communicate with them, because a lot of people look at credit. I got to tell you a story. Years ago in the 90s, I went to a doctor for allergies because I had really bad allergies in Hollywood. My eyes were running red, all this. Just went to try to find out what was going on. Well, he sent me a bill and I had moved. I had moved. I never got the bill. And so I was going to buy a house. Oh, goodness, this had to be the mid-90s. Going to buy a house, and I saw this doctor on my credit score. I'm like, what? And it wasn't a big bill, a couple $100. And so I called the credit reporting agency, and I said, I need this removed. They said, the only way you can do it is get what was called, and I'm sure it's changed by now, a credit report card from the original creditor, because it had gone to a collection agency. So I called the doctor at his office, and I forget his name, but when the secretary answered, I just like say Bob Smith. I didn't say it's Dr. Smith, and I said, "There's Bob there." Yeah, who's calling? It's Scott. Scott, who is Bob there? It's Scott. Put him on. I just got boom. I went right through and got him on the phone, and I said, "Hey, I came to you months ago for an allergy appointment. I moved. I never got your bill. Now I'm trying to buy a house, and it's on my credit. I did not intend to pay you. I just never got the bill, and I moved. So." Could I just pay you and you could fill out this credit report and get this off so I can buy this house? He goes, you got it. Fax it over. If anyone remember a fax machine at the time. So I paid him and sent a fax. He faxed it over. That was like magic, actually getting a doctor on the phone. But like you said, I'm a no excuse. I'm direct. I like to be laser direct. Boom. I got him to remove that. But that was, you could call that luck. Nowadays, it's even harder. I mean, we're in a different world. There was no internet back then. There was no internet. So you can actually write these letters for them and coach them right on.
Yes. And the biggest thing about these letters, about our letters, Scott, and so the credit bureaus, they get about 20,000 disputes a day, all three of them. That's 60. They get 20,000 a piece a day. That's how many disputes they get a day. So they have what's called optical character recognition software that they scan the letters, right? And so if they want to slow down the dispute process, the letter intake process, they make the letters harder to get through. So what they're looking for on these letters, they're looking for form letters, the same words, word tracks, phases, stuff that even credit repair companies use. So to kick those letters out, they want to deem them as frivolous, right? So they start with the envelope. Check this out. This is so crazy. I don't even know how we figure this out, but we do. So the bureaus receive an envelope, and on the envelope there's a return address, there's a postage stamp, and then there's who it goes to, right? So if Scott lives in Vegas and Billy's doing his credit repair, why would there be a stamp out of Dallas, Texas? It's so obvious that Scott used a credit repair company in Dallas, and then they'll send the letter back as frivolous. They'll send it back saying, this is a mass dispute, you're trying to clog the system, and they'll kick it back. And then you have to go back and prove that it's not, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, about 30 to 40% of the letters that the credit bureaus receive daily, they kick back.
Wow. So they're using AI. We're not even dealing with human beings anymore.
No, they're doing exactly what we're doing on the other side of the desk. They're looking for any reason. They're saying, you use the word dispute 7 times, that's a form letter, and then they kick it back as frivolous. Or you're using a credit repair company, or they hate us. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to clog the system. So but our letters, less than 5% get actually kicked out. So we've gotten really, really good at getting through the OCR, getting past the steel walls the credit bureaus erect to keep us out. And that's the biggest thing is, like, man, we think we're good. If you had the credit bureau's money to play the games and find the loopholes, and I mean, they're good. They're real good at it. They're able to kick out 30,000 letters a day and get away with it. You know, and also they're the biggest giver of money to Capitol Hill, which is why they're able to play at the level that they play at and do the stuff that they get away with doing. Seriously, they're like their own law. Everybody thinks the credit bureaus are owned by the government. They're not. They're for profit, 3 businesses, total separate entities. You know, and really they've learned how to get away with whatever they want to get away with. So fighting them is not as easy as it once was. Back in the 80s and 90s, when I was in the mobile home business, and we used to fax over a letter to TransUnion. My lenders only pulled TransUnion. We'd fax a letter to TransUnion. I had a handful of girls that I knew over there. Literally, my boss would send them flowers probably once or twice a month. And we'd send a letter saying, hey, Scott Bolan didn't do blah, blah, blah. And they would remove the entry from the credit report, send the customer a letter, or send the company a letter to verify it. During that 30 days, we would turn the deal in, get an approval, deliver it, fund it, and then it went back on the credit report. Nobody cared. The customer didn't care. They just want to trade their house. And it's not like that any longer. The dispute process is no longer like that. We now use EOS, or the electronic system that the disputes, all the disputes are now are just 2-digit codes. Either not mine, it's current, was never late. It's just very, very simple codes. And so now there is no manipulating it like that as far as taking it off for it to go back on. If something comes off, it's not going back on. We rarely see that, because it's coming off through EOS or through the electronic system. Once they take it off, it's blocked. They can't put it back on, you know. But like, and another thing about disputing, when you dispute online, they've gotten so good. They don't want mail. They want everything to come through and electronically handle it and leave people at home not working. They want technology to handle it. So they really are, the bureaus push disputing online. When I dispute online, I go to my credit monitoring service, whatever, and I can dispute an account saying that's not mine. But the problem is you can't send in any proof or backup. You're talking to a computer with a 2-digit code. And once you dispute online, then you cannot redispute that account or ask to see, like our number, if we dispute something and they verify it, our next thing is to see the method of verification. Okay, so they verified it. We want to see the method of verification. When you dispute online, you waive your right to a paper trail. You waive your right to ask to see the method of verification. You're accepting the online response, and for 18 months you cannot redispute that. So what people do all the time, they'll dispute online, they get nothing removed. Then they can't redispute it for a year and a half. Or they'll send in bad letters and then they get flagged and blocked, and they actually do more damage than more harm than they are helping themselves. And we see that all the time.
So you know the way around that so that they don't accidentally do more damage than good. Right.
Yes, and we feel that we know the best way around that, because there's a lot of different like avenues we could go down on that conversation. How to get into the credit bureaus is one thing. How to get your letters read is one thing. But even disputing accounts. So like think about this: if you had an old Discover card or if you had an old credit card account, and that account charges off with a $5,000 balance, a collection company is going to buy that account down the road. They'll buy that account, or you may pay that account off. Once that account becomes a zero balance, that's no longer a negative account. It's an account that's being picked up as a current account that was 90 days late in the history somewhere. But if it's like a 10-year-old card, charge off or not, it's a zero balance. It may be bringing more positive aspects to the score than negative.
Really?
So we'll have rookie credit repair companies that just, especially these guys that charge, they have a pay per dispute model, meaning if I get something deleted, you pay me. We don't delete those kind of accounts. I'm hurting your score. We're very score driven. I want the score.
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal.
That's the goal. So if I'm taking off accounts that are helping your score and then charging you for it, like that's unethics at its best. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not doing the customer justice.
Right.
Or if I'm doing it myself and don't know, it's so easy to make mistakes that you don't even know that you're making.
Yeah. Very, very powerful information, because this is the tool of the future. I mean, this is it is a way to take advantage of opportunity. And even if a person doesn't have bad credit, let's say they never really used it for years, I never needed to bother, never cared. Or even if they have good credit, you can help them get it up to, say, a level they need, which can make a massive difference. You could take them from a 714 to a 750, which could mean the difference of $800 or $1,000 a month. So you could be
no income verification loans.
Yeah.
The different avenues open up, or secondary. If you're not sitting around a 750 or higher credit score these days, you're not buying a lake house. You're not buying a beach house. You're not buying an investment property. You're not buying an Airbnb to rent out. You're not getting that with a 700 credit score anymore. It takes a 750 to get that kind of stuff done, especially secondary houses.
Yeah.
Third and fourth vehicles for companies or whatever.
Sure.
But again, all the more reason then you leverage business credit. If and you explained it perfectly. If you have a business, it's like having another social security number. That EIN's another social.
It's another taxpayer.
Why not take advantage? It's another taxpayer. So why not take advantage of that and utilize that? There's a lot of people, and actually there's a lot, several companies in Vegas to do this. They'll build and create a shelf corporation with credit and then sell it for $10,000 or whatever, because it has some credit accounts for people to like kind of grow from there.
Yeah. And
it's not that difficult.
So you help people, you help all kinds of people, you pretty much everyone on the spectrum, people with bad credit, people with mediocre credit, people with good credit, and even people with great credit, how to maximize. So you can take someone from good to great. You can also show people how to maximize or use business credit. So if they have an LLC or a corporation, so you're covering the whole spectrum, which is helping everybody improve their lives. And that's what it's, in other words, get mastery. That's what I like. I like mastery. I like control, because control is power. And if your credit is not under your direct control, you should be able to say, I want to share this. This is an aside moment. You've heard the word abracadabra, right? A magician pulls a rabbit out of a hat. Well, the root word of that is abrac with a Q, abracadabra. It's an Aramaic word. I have the .com, by the way. The moment I heard it, I went and got the .com. I said, I'm going to make a course out of that, because it means I will create as I speak. So we create as we speak. Think about it. When you speak, if you raise a child and you say, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, it's more likely the child's going to grow up stupid, right? Or if you say, I'm sick and I'm dying, I'm sick and I'm dying, it decreases the likelihood of you getting healthy and well. So when you control your credit score, when you say, I live by design, not by default, I'm going to conquer, this is the credit score that I shall have. Let's say you're at 650 and you want to be at 750, and you claim, I am going to raise my credit score to 750. That is what I'm going to do. So we don't deny the reality of where we're at, wherever we are, but we deny its power over us because we have the power to change it. So you can change your credit score. So you go to someone like Billy and you make these changes. You get this, and this has been, brother, this has been an education right here just in our talk. And I appreciate, I'm learning more just from talking to you, but people can actually go to you, and Billy and I set up a page that you can go to where Billy will give you information, free information, because he likes to help people like I do, and a discount on his program, which is already ridiculously, it pays for itself. It's not how much it costs, it's how much it costs you not to do it. And and the page we decided on was how rich people do it, howrichpeopledoit.com, because I was talking with Belinda about this after we met you, because you and I talk quite a bit. And I said, that guy Billy, man, he's great. He's from Texas. We used to live in Texas. We have the same number of kids. Our wives are our partners, our soulmate. I mean, we had so much in common. We love to help people. And we got to talking, and we thought, that's how rich people do it. Donald Trump did not become a billionaire without credit. All right. The rich people use it. I often say money is made by multiplication, not addition. If you work for, I don't care if you work for $20 an hour or $200 an hour or $2,000 an hour. If you're adding hours, I can take a calculator and calculate the dollar value of the rest of your working life. Money is made by multiplication, and credit gives you the ability to multiply your money, to multiply it, to control $1 million when you only have 100 grand, or to control 200 grand when you have 10 grand. And I've gone into houses with 5 grand. I mean, it's amazing the things you can do out there. But you need to learn how, and you need, better yet, a mentor who will actually do it with you and to a degree for you, such as writing the letter. Because Billy, if I had a negative credit entry, I wouldn't know how to write the letter. I'd have to come to you and say, what do I say so this thing doesn't get rejected by the AI, by the non-human processing this, right?
Well, not only that, for you and for probably a lot of people that's listening to this, at what point does it make sense for you financially to I'd rather, if I were you, I'd rather be sitting here doing my interviews and doing you don't want to spend Monday morning working on your credit. I mean, you can't afford to do that. You pay me, give me a little $1,000, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And let
That's
me
right.
do it. Seriously, that's what people miss.
Yes.
Man, people, they trip over dimes to pick up pennies. that makes
well, you're right.
sense,
You're right.
you
Marshall said this. He said you should not be doing MWA, minimum wage activities. You should be doing IGA, income generating activities. So I'm busy doing what I'm doing, generating income. If I were a person with bad credit and I don't have the knowledge to handle that, why not just hire a professional to do it for me so I can keep generating income over here? And when that professional fixes my credit over there, then I'm going to be able to even generate more income with that new credit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I love the website name too, that you picked out for our assets page. And in the assets page, what Scott's talking about, I have an ebook that I normally sell for $99.95. It's in there. Our
$100 book for free. Wow.
Yep. There's a credit report in there that you can go to. There's a link to go get I say free, it's $1 for 7 days. You can get all 3 reports in one place for $1 for 7 days. There's some other stuff in there, some other
just free goodies for my warriors, for my people. And I really appreciate that, brother, because I know you.
And then we also have a discounted link form in there also that for your clients, what we get that discount and all that stuff. So there's a sign up area in there as well for Scott's clients. They get a big discount, and his friends and stuff that he refers to.
Really, so anyway, appreciate that.
I love the name for that. That's
appreciate
really cool.
that for my people, because my people are warrior-minded people. They want mastery. And this is one area, like I said, there's only 5 areas of life: body, mind, and spirit, relationships, and finances. You can't name anything in life that doesn't fall under one of those 5 areas. And finances, this is one of the most important things. And it's how rich people do it. How do the rich get rich? All of them use credit. You can't name a billionaire who doesn't, or a millionaire who doesn't. That's just how the world works. We're in the world. We might not be of it, but we're in it. And so we're going to conquer. And brother,
they also lean on one another and have a network and a circle of people like what you said that also, you know what I'm saying? So one, finances, but it's also leaning on people and like you and Belinda talking, I mean, like this is great value that you can bring to your audience, to your clients, your friends,
Yes.
your people.
Yeah,
You
and
know what
that
I'm
comes
saying?
into
Like
relationships too.
by
They
us
all kind
leaning
of,
on each
yeah,
other
they
and
all come in together
it's
and leaning
insane.
and having those connections and relationships. And that's why I just had to get you on to share your valuable information with my people because we're all warriors and you're warrior minded too, man. It was instant. People recognize each other instantly.
Yeah.
I tell you something. My wife and I, we're going on our 27th year. We only knew each other 2 weeks before we got married. Yeah.
Is
Now
that right?
everyone would predict doom. Oh my goodness, a young marriage, they hardly know each other. But we had the same values. We're warriors. And so that's what kept us together. It was our values
That's
and
awesome.
beliefs. So through the ups and downs, through all of it, warriors recognize warriors because we all want self-mastery. We want what is right and good, and we want to flourish and prosper. And so this has been awesome, brother. This has been awesome. I
Yeah,
know we
no,
go on another
great
two
stuff.
hours, right?
And if you get to talking to some of your people, and if we need to dial this down, I know we've been talking real general, but I could really dive into like how to really fix your credit. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? I could really get into some details, or how to build business credit. And that's kind of what I did at Marshall's was three things how to build business credit and three things how to fix your personal credit. So, if you guys want to go a little deeper, whatever, I'm happy to
Oh,
do so,
brother,
man,
thank
anytime.
you.
And definitely when you get to Texas, you got to get out here
Oh,
and
for
see me.
sure, brother. And likewise, you must come to Vegas, my friend. You got to put that on your bucket list. And matter of fact, I have
Yeah,
a
no, I
friend who
want to.
owns a shooting range for tourists where you can shoot every kind of gun, and he has a movie poster for each movie, like Rambo, this one, and you can shoot the gun that was in the movie, and even blow up
Oh,
cars.
nice.
And come as our guest, brother.
Nice.
You'll love it.
Nice. It's awesome, man. Well, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time, buddy. And it was a great time. I love talking to guys like you, and it just feeds my mind, my soul, my heart, everything,
Likewise,
man. So this
brother.
was a great way to start off Monday morning for me. I really
Likewise,
appreciate it.
brother. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. We'll talk soon. Hello, my friends. Scott Bolan here with a quick message. Right after Billy and I finished recording, he reminded me that he had set up a special page to give you a free credit gift and assets. In other words, valuable, highly valuable information that you can use absolutely free as a gift. It's awesome. You've got to check it out. And he set this up just for you, my students. Billy's a great guy. He is top notch, number one in his field. That's why I have him on. I only have on the very best. So if you want to learn how to take advantage of credit, build your credit, and do it like rich people do, no matter what level you're at, go to this page right now, howrichpeopledoit.com. And the reason we chose that domain is because it is how rich people do it. They will keep their money in the bank and use credit to make money on their money in a million different ways. You're going to love this information. So go get it right now at howrichpeopledoit.com. You can also email me directly if you have any questions for Billy. We're in touch quite a bit. We're good friends. And I always love hearing from my students. So go grab your free gift and assets at howrichpeopledoit.com, and we'll see you on the other side.